me see if I can draw this out. So we are ultimately a zero-dimensional point, which is our soul. And from that radiates out our mind, which exists in the first dimension because of linear causation. So everything in here, each dimension that we're going to go through, is determined by causation. So at the 0th dimension, we have causal dynamism, which means a cause can also be its own effect, and an effect can be its own cause. So only in causal, I guess you'd call that like a point, would you get causal dynamism, where it's impossible to discern the difference between the origin and the terminus, between the cause and the effect. It's the same thing. So the soul is an infinite fractal. It compounds on itself because, the cause is different than the effect. There's a distance, but that distance is infinitesimal because it's a point within a point. So that's why we're infinite fractals. So we have an infinite number of micro souls inside our souls. Jung called those archetypes. Those are the largest of those, but there's also little drives here and there, and they all compete. And that's where our intentions come from, is the competition between all of those micro subjects inside of the soul. Then, from the soul outward, there's a volume, but it's linear in the first dimension because the soul can be discerned from the mind, and the fact that the mind basically tells the soul how to accomplish its intent. But being that the mind is kind of inert, or at least passive on its own, it doesn't really do anything, it doesn't point towards anything. And the field of logic and relativity is the same way. It doesn't have any exact absolute center or an exact absolute terminus. It just sort of allows for relativity to permeate. So our mind basically is there as a processor or a CPU for telling our soul how to actually manifest its intent. And then at the periphery of the self, there is the body. And the body is the one that actually actualizes that intent. Now, what's weird is I found out that this is actually only two-dimensional. It's a holographic, platonic form. Now, in order to get from the second dimension to the third, so that we're actually occupying real space, there has to be, before I get too far, this is a plane, and then we go from a plane to a point, and that other point is going to be the contact point of some other two-dimensional body. And by body, I don't necessarily mean the physical body, I just mean body. I didn't even get to what I was trying to get to. This is so